Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Savannah Chrisley stuns with latest request. Out of touch? Savannah Chrisley has fans shocked with her latest request. Some are thinking she may be a bit out of touch as she tries to see what it's like to be a normal working class person. Savannah Chrisley pretends she's working class. Is Savannah Chrisley out of touch with reality? She has been vacationing in the Cayman Islands this past week. However, now it seems she is looking to be put to work. Or, at least see what it's like to have to work. Savannah leads a very privileged life, so it's safe to say she has never had to work at a restaurant before. Now, her curiosity has been piqued. Her friends who are vacationing with her made sure to take pictures and videos of her working, and she shared them to her own Instagram story. Your new server at Dafa Shack, one of the Instagram stories says. In the photo, Savannah can be seen in a black cropped shirt with a black ball cap. She seems to be pretending to present the menu to her friends. In another story she shared on her own Instagram, she can be seen back by the staff of the restaurant. Apparently, she wanted to see what being a server is like, so they put her to work. Her friends snapped a video of her chatting with them. Savannah Chrisley says she wants to see what it's like to be a server, so they put her to work. The clip reads. Savannah's Instagram activity. Those who follow Savannah may have noticed something interesting lately. She has been posting herself in bikinis nonstop since arriving in the Cayman Islands. For other celebrities, this probably wouldn't mean much. After all, the Kardashians pose in swimwear all the time. However, before this, Savannah hadn't posted a bikini photo on her feed since September. Why the sudden change? It seems her new posting habits could be due to her split with Nick Curdiles. The pair broke up, and ever since then she has been flaunting her body on Instagram. Not to mention, she put one of her Sassy by Savannah products on sale. The name of this product? Bounce Back Queen. This seems to be a direct result of her breakup with Nick. Glowing star Savannah Chrisley stuns with latest request. Out of touch? In the ever-churning world of reality television and social media, few families have maintained the public's fascination and scrutiny, quite like the Chrisleys. Known for their southern charm, lavish lifestyle, and highly publicized legal troubles, the family's narrative continues to unfold, often in the very public gaze. Recently, Savannah Chrisley, the family's young matriarch figure and a prominent voice since her parents' incarceration, made a request that has sparked considerable debate online, leading many to question if the young star is becoming increasingly out of touch with the realities faced by her audience. The context: a family in crisis. To understand the reaction to Savannah's request, one must first grasp the gravity of the Chrisley family's current situation. Todd and Julie Chrisley, the patriarch and matriarch of Chrisley Knows Best, are currently serving significant prison sentences after being convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion. This abrupt shift has placed an immense emotional and logistical burden on their adult children, especially Savannah, who has taken on the role of caregiver for her younger brother, Grayson, and niece, Chloe. Savannah has been transparent about her struggles, leveraging her platform, primarily through her popular podcast, Unlocked, to share updates, advocate for prison reform, and articulate her deep frustration and emotional pain. This vulnerability has earned her a strong following of empathetic fans who see her as a relatable figure navigating an unimaginable crisis. However, Savannah's background is one of extreme privilege. Her childhood and early adulthood were documented as she enjoyed private jets, designer clothes, and sprawling mansions. The tension between her current, highly stressful reality and her previous, very opulent one often forms the core of the public's critique. The request that sparked controversy. The recent request that has set the internet ablaze revolves around a plea Savannah made to her fans. While the specifics of the request have been interpreted in various ways across different media outlets, the core of the controversy stems from a seeming appeal for significant financial assistance or donations for a venture related to her family's legal battles or ongoing expenses. Sources close to the discussion indicate that Savannah, during a recent episode or social media livestream, discussed the staggering costs associated with fighting her parents' convictions. Legal fees that are easily in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Following this discussion, she reportedly made a direct or thinly veiled appeal for her listeners to contribute financially to a fund or initiative aimed at supporting her family's appeal process. The online backlash, privilege and perception. The immediate reaction was a wave of criticism that quickly spread across social media platforms like Twitter and Reddit. The consensus among critics centered on a few key points. 1. The perceived wealth gap. The most potent argument against Savannah's request is the stark contrast between her family's documented wealth and the financial struggles of the average American. Prior to their legal troubles, the Chrisleys were consistently portrayed as multimillionaires, living a lifestyle far removed from that of their core audience. Critique. How can someone who grew up flying on private planes ask a single mother struggling to pay rent to fund her millionaire parents' legal fees? One commenter posted. The perception is that the Chrisleys should have more than enough financial reserves, even after the convictions, to cover their own expenses. Asking fans, many of whom are facing inflation, stagnant wages, and economic uncertainty, to foot the bill is seen as deeply inconsiderate. 2. The nature of the crime. Todd and Julie Chrisley were convicted of financial fraud. For many, contributing money to their defense fund feels morally objectionable, as it is seen as supporting individuals who illegally acquired massive wealth at the expense of others. Critique. She's asking the public to pay for the appeal of people convicted of stealing from the government and banks. It's a complete lack of self-awareness, another user stated. The lack of public sympathy is tied directly to the nature of the offenses committed. 3. Leveraging tragedy for capital gain. While Savannah's emotional pain is acknowledged by many, critics argue that she is strategically monetizing her family's tragedy. Her podcast and social media activity, where she makes these requests, are already lucrative ventures that generate ad revenue and sponsorships based on the high level of public interest in her life. Critique. The argument here is that Savannah should be directing the profits from her highly successful public platforms toward the family's expenses, rather than soliciting direct donations from fans. The defense, a daughter fighting for her family. Savannah's supporters and those who defend the request offer a different perspective, emphasizing the unique challenges she faces and the fundamental American right to appeal a conviction. The argument is that regardless of the conviction, everyone deserves the best legal defense possible. High-profile appeals are incredibly expensive, and the public's involvement simply reflects a desire to support a family they have followed for years. Perspective. She's not asking for a vacation fund, she's asking for help to free her parents. Anyone who has ever fought a difficult legal battle knows how quickly the money runs out, a loyal fan commented. They view the donations not as funding a millionaire's lifestyle, but as contributing to a cause they believe in, the reunification of a family. 2. The weight of responsibility. Savannah is only in her late 20s and has had to assume the parental role for 2 young relatives while navigating the extreme stress of her parents' incarceration and the relentless media cycle. Her request, in this view, is a sign of desperation and the overwhelming burden she is carrying, not a calculated grab for cash. Perspective. Her supporters see her as a young woman doing her best under impossible circumstances. The request is viewed as a vulnerable cry for help from a community she feels she can trust. 3. The power of public platforms. Finally, some argue that asking for financial help on a public platform is simply the way things work in the modern digital age. Whether it's a GoFundMe for medical bills or a plea for legal funds, utilizing one's audience for financial support is a common, accepted practice. Is Savannah Chrisley truly out of touch? The question of whether Savannah Chrisley is out of touch is ultimately a question of perception and empathy. In the most literal sense, her life experiences are far removed from the daily struggles of her average follower. She has known a level of wealth and privilege that makes any plea for money, no matter the context, feel grating to those struggling to afford basic necessities. This disconnect is the source of the out-of-touch accusation. However, it is also true that even immense wealth can be quickly depleted by multi-year, high-stakes federal legal battles. The reality is that the Chrisley family's liquid assets have likely been severely impacted, and legal fees can financially cripple even the wealthiest of families. The verdict seems to be a nuanced one. Savannah's request may be financially necessary for her family's strategy, but it demonstrates a profound lack of awareness regarding the optics and current economic anxieties of her public audience. In a time when the gap between the ultra-rich and the working class is a daily news topic, any request for money from a figure synonymous with excessive wealth will be met with immediate and fierce criticism. Her tragedy is real, but so is the financial struggle of her fans. For many, Savannah Chrisley's latest request solidified the painful truth that while she is navigating her crisis in a public and relatable way, the financial ground beneath her feet is vastly different from their own. The perception of being out of touch is less about her being unaware of her own problems and more about her seemingly being unable to grasp the privilege that, even in crisis, fundamentally separates her from the people she is asking for help. Next steps for Savannah's brand. Moving forward, Savannah's team will likely need to adjust the narrative surrounding her advocacy. Focusing solely on the fight for prison reform, a cause that resonates with a broad and socioeconomically diverse audience, may prove more beneficial than direct financial appeals. Shifting the spotlight from her family's specific financial needs to the broader, systemic issues of justice could help bridge the gap and reposition her as a true advocate rather than an entitled celebrity seeking a handout.